Somewhere, maybe 7,000 years ago, a person is kneeling at the edge of a river. They are not looking for treasure. There is no such thing as treasure yet. They are probably looking for water, or a good stone, or something to eat. And then, in the gravel at the bottom of the stream, something catches the light. It is small. It is yellow, and it is shining back at them in a way that nothing else in the river does. That moment, repeated in 1,000 rivers across the world, is the beginning of one of the strangest relationships humans have ever had with a physical object. Because that person had no word for metal, no concept of an element, no idea that this substance would one day start wars, build empires, and sit locked in vaults beneath cities that would not exist for 6,000 years. So how did ancient humans find gold? And here is the harder question, the one nobody ever asks. How did they know it was gold? To answer that, you have to first understand something genuinely strange about this one particular substance. Because gold did not have to be discovered in the way most things do. Gold announces itself. Think about almost any other metal: iron, copper, tin, aluminium. If you walked past them in nature, you would see nothing. You would see rock. Dull, gray, ordinary stone. Those metals are locked inside ore, chemically bound to other elements, and to get them out, you need to build a fire hot enough to break chemical bonds, which means furnaces, fuel, and generations of accumulated knowledge. A person 7,000 years ago could stand on a mountain of iron and never know it. Gold is different. Gold is what chemists call a native metal, meaning it is found in nature already pure. It does not need smelting, refining, or extraction. It sits in the ground and in riverbeds as finished metal, ready to pick up. And the reason for that comes down to one simple fact. Gold is spectacularly lazy. Chemically, it barely reacts with anything. It refuses to combine with oxygen, which means it does not rust, does not corrode, and does not tarnish. And that single property is the entire reason ancient humans ever noticed it. Because think about what tarnishing actually does. Copper turns green. Silver turns black. Iron turns to flaking red rust. Every other metal that ancient humans might have stumbled across in nature would have been dull, crusted, and camouflaged, looking like just another rock. Gold cannot do that. A gold nugget that fell into a river 100,000 years ago and sat there ever since is still as bright and yellow as the day it landed. Gold is the only metal on Earth that is naturally yellow. Other metals only go yellowish when they corrode. So, in that riverbed, against gray and brown gravel, gold is effectively glowing. It is the one thing that refuses to blend in. Which is exactly why rivers were where humans found it. Deep underground, gold forms in veins inside rock. Over millions of years, rain, ice, and wind grind those rocks apart, and the freed gold gets washed downhill into streams. Geologists call these placer deposits. The gold collects in the gravel at the bottom, waiting. So the first gold humans ever held was almost certainly not mined. It was simply found, lying in the water, by someone who was there for something else entirely. But that brings us to the real question. They found something shiny. So what? A shiny yellow pebble is still just a pebble. How did they work out that this was something fundamentally different from every rock they had ever picked up? They ran tests, not lab tests, body tests, and they had 4 of them, all available with nothing but hands and eyes. The first test was the color. As we said, nothing else in nature is that specific warm yellow, and nothing else keeps it. Fool's gold, iron pyrite, can trick you at a glance, but it is brassy, brittle, and it dulls. The second test was the weight, and this is the one that would truly have stopped them. Gold is astonishingly heavy. It has a density of about 19.5 grams per cubic centimeter, which makes it nearly twice as dense as lead. Pick up a gold nugget and a normal pebble of the same size, and the difference is not subtle. It feels wrong in your hand, like the object is heavier than the universe intends. That shock of unexpected weight is something any human in any century would immediately register as strange. The third test was the softness, and this is where gold became magic. Gold is the most malleable element on Earth. You can hammer it, bend it, flatten it, and shape it cold, with a stone, without any fire at all. Now imagine you have spent your entire life in a world where hard things are hard. Rock does not bend, it shatters, wood snaps, bone breaks, and then you strike this yellow pebble with a stone, expecting it to crack, and instead, it just squashes, it spreads, it changes shape and stays that way. Nothing in their world behaved like that. This was a stone that obeyed you. And the fourth test was time itself. Ancient humans would have seen copper go green and silver go dark. But the gold they picked up in their youth looked exactly the same when they were old. It looked the same when their children inherited it. In a world where everything decayed, rotted, rusted, and died, they had found one small object that simply refused to change. That is the real answer to how they knew it was gold. They did not know the word, or the element, or the atomic number. But they knew the signature, the only yellow thing that stays yellow, that is impossibly heavy, that bends like clay, and that never ages. Nothing else on the planet does all four. Nature gave gold a fingerprint you could read with your bare hands. And once humans could read that fingerprint, they went looking. Which brings us to the oldest gold ever found. In October of 1972, in the Bulgarian coastal city of Varna, an excavator operator named Rachel Marinov was digging as part of preparations for a new factory. His machine turned up some strange objects. He took a few of them home, then a few days later decided to contact local archaeologists. He had accidentally opened one of the most important archaeological sites in the world. Beneath him lay a Copper Age cemetery, and inside it, archaeologists eventually uncovered nearly 300 graves containing more than 3,000 gold objects, weighing around 6 kilograms in total. Radiocarbon dating placed the burials at roughly 4,600 to 4,200 BCE. That is around 6,500 years old. It predates the pyramids of Egypt and the empires of Mesopotamia by well over 1,000 years. This is the oldest processed gold ever discovered on Earth, and the most famous burial there is known simply as Grave 43. In it lay a man, buried with more gold than anyone else in the entire cemetery. Necklaces, bracelets, earrings, discs sewn onto his clothing, and an axe with its handle wrapped in gold. Some researchers think he may have been a chieftain, others that he may have been a metalsmith. Either way, he is one of the first individuals in human history we can point to and say, this person was rich. And here is the detail that reveals what gold had already become. Some of the richest graves at Varna contained no body at all. They were symbolic, empty tombs, filled with gold for someone who was not there. Which means gold had already stopped being a material. It had become a message. But now we arrive at the strangest part of this entire story, and it is the part that makes gold genuinely unique among everything ancient humans ever found. Gold is useless. Think about it seriously. You cannot make a knife out of gold because it is too soft. The edge would fold on the first cut. You cannot make a spear tip, or an axe head, or a hammer. You cannot eat it. You cannot burn it for warmth. You cannot build a shelter from it. In a world where every single object a person owned had to earn its place by keeping them alive, gold contributed nothing at all. The metal that changed human history was the one metal that could not do any work. And that is exactly why it matters so much. Because when those people at Varna spent enormous effort finding, gathering, and shaping 6 kilograms of a substance that fed no one and killed nothing. They were doing something no species had ever done before. They were valuing an object purely for what it symbolized. Gold was not useful. Gold was beautiful, rare, and permanent, and humans decided those three things together were worth more than usefulness. That is the invention of wealth, not the invention of a tool, but the invention of an idea. And it stuck. By around 2000 BCE, the Egyptians were mining gold in earnest. The death mask of Tutankhamun, who died in 1323 BCE, holds around 100 kilograms of it. Around 640 BCE, the kingdom of Lydia struck some of the first coins, and gold stopped being decoration and became money itself. Every single one of those steps traces back to a person kneeling at a river, noticing that one pebble was yellow, and lifting it because it caught the sun. So the next time you see gold, remember what it actually is. It is not valuable because it is strong, or because it does anything for you. It is valuable because it is the one thing our ancestors found that never decayed. In a world of rot and rust and endings, they discovered a small piece of permanence, and they have never let go of it since. They did not find gold because it was precious. Gold became precious because of the way it let itself be found.